I'm Dale Smith for Looney Politics, and everything we've heard about this week's budget is that the central focus is going to be childcare. This is one of the big lessons that we've learned in the pandemic is the number of women that have left the workforce because of the need for childcare as a result of all the closures has really put a focus for the government on how to ensure that we've got a more inclusive workforce going forward. But childcare is a provincial responsibility. So how is this going to look? I suspect that one of the largest things is going to be an increase to the current transfers that are going on. The government already has bilateral agreements with provinces for childcare funding, which goes towards things like spaces or improving the education of childcare workers or hiring more workers or so on. These are all agreements that the federal government currently has and could enrich using the federal dollars that they plan to put toward this. The ultimate goal, however, is to create a system like Quebec's in all the different provinces around the country, where you have essentially subsidized public spaces for $10 a day, $25 a day, whatever it's going to look like. But that is the ultimate goal. The federal government has already started laying out the foundations for this with Fall Economic Update, with the creation of a federal child care secretariat, which will do things like the policy work and kind of the coordination efforts around the country. But this is going to take time to build, and we are in a position where we're going to need child care spaces really fast once we start reopening as the current wave starts to diminish and vaccinations ramp up. The government is going to make the case that there is a strong economic driver for women in the workforce, and childcare being an integral part of that. Quebec has already proved that this works, and that their subsidized daycare model with the provincial taxes that they put into it has had demonstrable economic impact, and that there is a need for this across the country. What this is going to look like is going to probably mean the federal government is going to put a lot of money on the table. It's one of those things where we often think that you can just throw money at premiers and they will set up new programs, but that's really not the case. In this case, however, I think that there's enough of a compelling case in terms of the economic case to be made for it, as well as the fact that we've seen over the course of the pandemic the real need for this, and it will be harder for premiers to say no to this particular program and the amount of money that the federal government is going to be throwing toward it than it would be for some of the other programs which premiers have been reluctant to sign on to. We'll see once the budget is released this week, but I have a strong suspicion that we're going to see a case of enough dollars being on the table that it'll be really hard for the premiers to refuse. For Looney Politics, I'm Dale Smith.